Hello everybody and welcome to this video where I want to talk about four healthy stocks as I call it here. And I selected these stocks because I find them very cheap on my spreadsheet. So the first stock I quickly want to talk about is CorMedix. So as you can see, CorMedix on enterprise value over gross profit over revenue growth is a 0.09. What does and impressively, the rule of 40 is 167. So what does this stock do? What does CorMedix do? They have a catheter lock solution, and that's the only FDA-approved solution for people who are going through hemodialysis. It's people with kidney problems, and there's a lot of people having to go through that each year. About 800,000 people have to go through such a treatment each year. And it's a treatment that you go through this catheter. So there's two tubes. And the problem with that is that in between treatments, when you go to a dialysis center, you got to wait a few days in between. You may get an infection. And if you get an infection, the odds are unfortunately very high that you would die. 15 to 25% getting hospitalized after that infection costs a fortune. Medicare is upset with how much they have to pay with all of these hospitalizations that are due to infections that happen outside of a hemodialysis treatment. And so what does DefenCath do? It's a fill solution. It's a lock solution. So it's just a medication that you put in the tube to prevent infections. And there's two tubes. So it's 2 vials per patient per treatment, and the vials cost $249 a piece. So my estimate based on their number is that there would be nearly a 41 million vial potential each year, and that could be a total addressable market of 10.2 billion potentially, with them being the only play in town because they're approved, and of course the competition being nothing, and that puts you at a risk of infection. And of course, if you use DefenCath, their studies shows it's minus 71% risk of infection compared to not using that. So per my understanding, the CMS is really happy about that, and they pay for that because it costs them more money to not pay for that, because if you don't pay for that, there's going to be an infection and there's going to be a very expensive hospitalization. So they have no problem paying for that, and dialysis center have no problem adopting it. That's my understanding. And because of that, forward revenue growth is predicted to be 139%. How much am I paying for the growth? 0.09. So I find this stock cheap. I find the product useful and relevant, and it's niche enough such that it doesn't have competition just yet. I like this small cap very much. Of course, small caps come with special risks. Another small cap that I really love is LifeMD. I refer to it to a baby HIMSS. It's not as good as HIMSS, but HIMSS has run so much, and when you're nearly a 10x on a stock, psychologically it's tough to keep adding to that stock, and I like to diversify, and I love stocks, right? So it's my hobby. So of course I want to have the baby HIMSS. LifeMD is the baby HIMSS. They focus on what I'm gonna call the medium conditions, more medium problems. HIMSS really focuses on very easy problems, things like hair loss or ED. LifeMD focuses on more medium stuff. Like, for example, they can follow people that have diabetes or chronic condition, that sort of stuff. HIMSS is a subscription service. It's $39 a month for their most popular plan, and for $39 a month, you get 1 doctor visit a month. You can also buy an individual visit for something like $105 or something, and it's fully digital platform. And of course, they don't take insurance. They don't use insurance. People just pay for their 1 doctor visit a month subscription at $39 a month, just like you would pay for your Netflix subscription at probably now $25 a month for Netflix with taxes and fees. And so, just like HIMSS, they don't accept insurance. The gross margins are very similar to HIMSS, and the business is growing very fast. And actually, if you look at the numbers, the growth numbers, you wouldn't see it because of WorkSimpli. They have a software business that is flattish, not doing bad, but WorkSimpli is an unrelated business that that was acquired through VC processes, and it's not really growing. And so when you look at the stock, it seems like it's only growing at 29%. But that's because there's WorkSimpli in the business that is not growing. They're trying to get rid of WorkSimpli. They're trying to sell it. They think it's worth maybe $50 million. And so, at some point when the VC market recovers, they'll be able to unload their stake in WorkSimpli. That's why I have two ways to analyze LifeMD. One way to analyze it is with WorkSimpli. And so if I analyze it with WorkSimpli, I get to a 0.061 and a rule of 40. So still really good, still really cheap, but the revenue growth next 12 months is only 29% because of the flattish business of WorkSimpli. Now, if I remove WorkSimpli and I assume that they are successful at selling it for $53 million, and I just take the growth of a medical business. The medical business alone is growing at 53%. Gross margin, believe it or not, is the same between both of them, at least per my data. And then I get a 0.035. So if I assume they're going to sell WorkSimpli, it's really a 0.035. So that is a dirt cheap stock right there, much cheaper than HIMSS, about 6 to 7 times cheaper than HIMSS right now. And of course, lastly, they're getting into their own pharmacy just like HIMSS. They're catching on to that. If you have the doctor subscription, the doctors are likely prescribing some medication. Why wouldn't you grab the business, right? Why would you want to send this medication to someone else? No, you're grabbing the business. That's what HIMSS has been doing, grabbing their own pharmacy business with the doctor consultation business. LifeMD is trying to do the same, to bundle the pharmacy and bundle together the doctor, making it convenient, making it easy, and removing the learning curve and one has to go through whenever they go to the family doctor, they go to the pharmacy, they go to the insurance. These apps make it really easy to get your health taken care of. Moving on to stock number 3, another traditional healthcare stock. And but in today's video, the 4 stocks I cover, 3 of them are what I would call traditional healthcare innovation, deep healthcare, talking about the medications themselves. One of them is a business model innovation, right? LifeMD is a business model innovation. It's a consumer-facing innovation. This is a back-end innovation. So that's Briumvi. Let's talk about Briumvi. Briumvi is well rooted within the world of B-cell therapies and the revolution that we've been going through with genetics. And so they will be the last B-cell therapy treatment for multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is a disease that you have to get treated. It's actually a very painful disease. You can have a crisis. Multiple sclerosis is when the walls of your veins start dysfunctioning, is the way to say it. And it's become very, very painful, and this is something that people definitely want to get treated and are interested in getting treated. And they are the last entrant, the last B-cell therapy for relapsing multiple sclerosis. And because they're the last, they're also the best. The FDA said they won't approve a 4th one, but they're also the best. And why are they the best? They're the quickest, it's 1 hour, and they're also the cheapest. They're priced at something around $50,000. They're the cheapest and the fastest treatment, which is why they're seeing traction in the treatment. They're a very lean company, very few employees. Of course, for people with multiple sclerosis, Briumvi is not famous. So now they have to advertise to doctors, they have to advertise to patients, but the hope is that as they advertise, the doctors and the patients will pick Briumvi. And note, they don't need to have a huge market share. If the market was shared between all 3 B-cell therapies, that could be a huge business. Briumvi could be a huge business. So if you look at the enterprise value, this stock is a little more expensive. It's a $4.7 billion valuation, but it's predicted to grow at 107% next 12 months. Gross margin is outstanding at 88%. EBITDA margin is also great at 15%. It's a rule of 40 at 122, right? So if you think Palantir is great, try this one. 122, that's absolutely outstanding. So I find this stock to be very cheap. This is from their last annual report. You can see the growth. The growth is really looking like the beginning of an S-curve, looking like the beginning of exponentiality. And again, they're part of a revolution of antibodies. They're in the same space as, say, well, not the same, but slightly related space to, say, a GenMab. These are the next-gen therapies. These are the therapies that really came out in the past 5 years. And so I find the stock quite interesting, even if they're just number 3, because if the market is predicted to be something around $12 billion in 2030, even if they get 1/3 of that, then you would have a company which by then would be trading at 1x sales, and which by then would have like a 40% EBITDA margin, maybe even higher. So to me, definitely an interesting company that I like very much. And the last company that I want to talk about today is BioStem. Now, BioStem is the most quote-unquote edgy company. It's over the counter. This company is tough to research. You may remember my Patreon exclusive video that I did on BioStem, and then I think I made it public. And people were like in the comments, I don't want to invest in placentas, bro. They told me in the comment section. But anyways, it's much more complicated than that. It's an allograft. It's made out of placentas, but it's a bandage that's a revolution in wound care. It's for tough to heal wounds, and there's a lot of tough to heal wounds. Typically you go to surgery and sometimes you have complications and the wound isn't having an easy time to heal. And their product, from what I understand, is especially helpful when it's been 30 days or roughly 30 days. A big business for them is mobile wound care, dermatology offices, private offices, but especially podiatry. And it seems to be like a lot of the growth is going to come from podiatry. What do we mean by podiatry? We mean diabetic foot ulcers, which is really the next avenue for growth for them. They reported revenue back in January. Preliminary report grew to 102 million, so that was a 25% quarter over quarter between September 24 and December 24. 25% quarter over quarter growth. If you analyze that trailing 12-month growth annualized based on the December 24 number is 140% annualized. So this is a company now that has 302 million in revenue and its enterprise value is 240 million. So right now it's trading at less than sales, and the forward sales, the analysts are telling us they're looking at it and saying it's going to be about 80% forward sales. So enterprise value over forward revenue would be a 0.44. Not even half times forward sales, and what this company is trading at. And EV over GP over RG is an unbelievable, never seen before, even for Chinese stocks, 0.01. That's how cheap that stock is. That stock is beyond cheap, so it's a risk that I'm willing to take. And the rule of 40 is a 90. Risk that I'm willing to take. Why do I talk about a risk? Well, this is where, if you know anything in the comment section, please tell me. So there is a share of their business, a share of a products that is rumored to be coming off the CMS, and the CMS is the reimbursement system of Medicare. And there was a decision saying, they wouldn't be renewed in February. Now, it seems like based on other things that I see and other rumors and the way the stock price reacted, it seems like the decision has been delayed by 6 months, and we'll now know in 6 months. So their leading products are still being reimbursed for 6 months based on what I can find. There is a conference that happened a few days ago where the CEO spoke at a microcap conference to analysts, and the stock, of course, went up like crazy that day. I cannot find that conference anywhere. So this is the problem. Many people are privy to private information on this one. I'm a public YouTuber. I don't have access to private information. What do they know that I don't know? Again, it's a risk that I'm willing to take based on what I see. It seems like it's going to be delayed by 6 months. It's a risk that I'm willing to take. And the reason why I take this risk is because really the CMS is quote-unquote evidence-based. And so what they're doing a lot of posters, a lot of conference presentations, a lot of papers to show that their products are better than competing solution. And if they're able to show that well enough in papers, when in 6 months a decision of reimbursement comes, they likely will still be included. And knowing that this is not all of the business that is threatened by stopping the reimbursement, this is just a small share of the business. I also believe, though, that there is a demand for simply insurance companies who are tired of paying a lot of money for wound care, wounds that do not heal. So there's a market for that. And simply people out of pocket. These are slightly expensive products, not that expensive compared to, say, Briumvi, which is a $50,000 product. This is not $50,000. This is a few $100 for a very advanced wound care bandage. And so I believe this stock should do well, but this is obviously not investment advice, not financial advice. This is just entertainment. I'm just sharing my investment journey with you all. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.